Hi, Andrea here. Welcome to my workshop. Today I'm gonna show you how I made this cabinet for storing my power tools. In this video you'll also see me using Moxon vise that me and my brother built. It is not only nicely made, but it's also very useful for cutting some dovetails or raising the pieces from your workbench. There are plans available on my Patreon page, as well as the exclusive narrated video for you, both in English and Spanish. If you'd like to become my Patreon, please follow the links below the video. Thank you very much, I really appreciate that. Before I start any project, I usually make some sketch to see how it's going to look. You will see in the video that I ditched the drawers and vertical divider to be able to store two more tools inside. I used some white oak I had on hand and started on dimensioning the boards. Bessey is the sponsor for this episode and they kindly sent me some clamps to try out. I can say that I'm very impressed by the quality and the smoothness of Bessey clamps. The glue-ups were stress-free and these clamps have more than enough clamping power. Just notice how lightly I turn the handles. While there are other ways to make panels or clamp pieces, Bessey clamps made this task super easy. They were a joy to use and a great time saver to make this cabinet built. I will leave the link in the description to the clamps used and also Bessey catalog so you can find the clamp you need for your job. I'm looking forward to work more in the future with Bessey tools. Thank you. After a little bit of planning, I used scraper and sandpaper to bring the surfaces flat and smooth. If you're a beginner, I suggest buying pre-glued panels. It will make this cabinet build a bit more expensive, but much easier. After cutting pieces to size, I took my Moxon vise and placed boards to mark and cut dovetails. I have a separate video that explains laying out and cutting dovetails. Link below. Whenever I can, I like to use Dovetail Jig from Cuts Moses because it's so much easier to cut dovetails with it, even if you're an experienced user. The Dovetail Jig is fantastic and it also includes 90-degree cut, which is super handy. I highly suggest getting one. There is a link in the description of this video. Everything was going great until I started to be completely overwhelmed on how my thread saw cuts like butter through white oak, and I cut the pin I shouldn't. Yes, I even marked the damn thing.
Why did I do that? As I was doing it, I realized what I was doing. I was like, oh! And as soon as I felt
I can't stop!
I was so dumb.
I was actually listening to Fine Woodworking podcast, which is fantastic by the way, and the part of the show called Smooth Moves just kicked in when I realized my smooth move.
And come spend time with people. I want to avoid using test plates whenever possible, as they get
I repaired the thing with some bamboo skewer, and it came so surprisingly good that I couldn't find it later.
turning into a diaper. I just described it. Alright, let's go to Mark.
Right? Like he really, he says, well, in the employee handbook it says.
The joint from the saw is what always gets me when I use the Dovetail Jig. There was hardly any chisel work needed. And yes, this is the second pin I cut wrong, but this one I repaired simply by drilling from the outside. This is visible but hard to spot after planing flush. I had some tin oak offcuts from dimensioning, and I decided to save some money on plywood backing and made it from solid oak. It was not uniform thickness, but it didn't matter. I flushed the joints from the inside and then cut thickness excess on the table saw, so it can fit in the 6mm groove made with the router. Since it's solid wood, I didn't glue it in the grooves, but I placed one screw in the middle of the back shelf to stiffen it. You will see that later. I continued by cutting the black walnut for the door frames. I love these saw blades, they are fantastic quality and price. I cut some bridle joints on the table saw and fine-tuned them with hand tools, and I always get great results this way. Then I cut some grooves for raised oak panels. Then the bevel on the inside of the frames. While I had the router out, I cut the groove for the backing in the carcass. And I glued some boards for the shelf part. Then Then I took this fantastic book and I found a joint I wanted to try out. It was my New Year resolution to try at least 2 new joints in this year. Since there are ways to joint the sides much easier, I don't think I'll repeat this joint anytime soon. Very time consuming and quite complicated. It however might be good for taller pieces where more mechanical joint is needed. But I don't think that sliding dovetail is weaker than this. And this is on the other side. I should have measured maybe and then take exact holes, but I was probably impatient. But there is nothing this can fix, so yeah, we'll use that. I had another break at the pin of the dovetail, so I glued a piece of end grain oak inside. It came out invisible. With the planes I cut the dovetails flush. After applying first coat of linseed oil, I spotted some stains from glue, which I took out with card scraper. It's cheap and great tool that saves sandpaper and is much faster. Then I started doing raised panels. They're best done from one wide piece or book matched pieces. I didn't have those, so I made do. I tilted the saw to the angle I found, and I used this jig to safely cut these angles on the table saw. I found a great video on YouTube for making these. Look it up in the description. Once I tried to fit the panels in the frame, I noticed I had too much slack. I saw a video from Alan Valancourt, known as Woodpecker, And he inserted some rubber pieces inside to eliminate that slack but still allow for expansion. I used bicycle inner tube for that. It worked great. I was ready to glue the frame together. No glue goes on the solid panels. This is why they are called sometimes floating. I could now clean up the inside corners and trim flush the bridle joints. Then it was time to make those Celtic nuts. I cut 2 thin slices of walnut and temporarily glued them with blue tape and CA glue trick I learned from the channel of Winston Moy. Link below. Then I proceeded to cut and shape the nuts. I beveled the edges with a knife to make it look three-dimensional. This took me quite some time. Then I added some grooves with V-gauge. After detailing, I finally applied linseed oil and wax finish. I marked and cut for hinges. The bit I'm using here is called Vix or centering bit. Very practical and makes for a great precision when installing hinges. Now it was time to hang some accessories inside. I got the idea for router bit storage from this box and I decided to try it. It worked perfect. I even shook the doors to see if the bits would fall out. Then I added some more shelves for drill bits on the other door. On the inside above the drills I made this little shelf for some boxes. There is still space for more storage. Thanks to Bessey again for giving me the opportunity to try their awesome clamps, and special thanks to my Patreons who support me. And finally, thank you for watching. See you soon.